Hey everybody, R here from Project R&B, and I wanted to get on here and record kind of a different type of video. The other day I watched a video from Alanah Pearce, and she highlighted her top games of the previous console generation. So Xbox One, PS4. She didn't do Nintendo Switch because she felt like it just kind of didn't really fit with those other two. But I want to do a list of my own, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start making a list just like she did, and if you haven't seen her video, I'm going to link it down below because it's pretty fantastic. But what she did was she just started writing down a bunch of games that she thought were pretty fantastic, and then she started to systematically and struggle to narrow that list down as time went on. So I want to do a similar thing. I'm going to go over to Metacritic, so I've got some different tabs brought up here: PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And I'm just going to start picking off games from these lists that I really thought were fantastic. And then from there, I'm going to try and narrow it down to a top 5, just like she did. So here we go. Kind of give you guys a little bit of background. I'm not a big competitive multiplayer kind of guy. I'm more of a solo, story-driven game. I like loot. I like to go around and get loot. I gravitate highly towards games with zombies for whatever reason. I think that I would do well in the zombie apocalypse, so for some reason that seems to come across in the video games that I choose to play as well, so I thought I should probably throw that out there. Okay, I sunk a ton of hours into Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know that it would make my top 5, like, I really doubt that it would make my top 5 list, so I'm not even going to write that one down, honestly. GTA 5 to me was a game from last generation, so I don't think that it counts. So this is an interesting one because I didn't play The Last of Us until I got a PlayStation 4. I didn't play it on PlayStation 3, so the first time I experienced The Last of Us was on PlayStation 4. And I think that that was maybe the first game that I played on PS4, so that one is getting added to the list. I don't know if it should technically count because it came out during the PS3 age of things. But it is what it is. God of War, that one definitely makes my list. Amazing single-player game. Last of Us Part 2 definitely makes the list. I felt like The Last of Us Part 2 was maybe 5 to 7 hours too long. Once you get to a certain point in the game, and I guess spoiler alerts, you know, once you get into a certain point in the game and you start playing as the other female protagonist, I can't even remember her name now. Was it Abby? Maybe it was Abby. I don't recall. That just really didn't resonate with me as much as just playing as Ellie, the main protagonist, and Joel. You know, like you were Joel. You were either Ellie or Joel in the last game, and I just didn't really feel like I had the connection with Abby like I did Ellie and Joel in the first game. So then Last of Us 2, like graphically, it was the most amazing game that I had seen, that I had played. I was 100% convinced it was going to be my favorite game of, at least for the PS4, for that generation. But then, you know, 15 hours into it, we started to get into, well, now you're going to play as this other character, and I just didn't really give a shit about Abby. I really didn't, so that was kind of tough. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, that's going to make the list. I barely remember the game other than thinking it was graphically beautiful. It was super fun to play, and being really sad that I was done with that ride at the end of it. And I've tried to play through the Uncharted game that came out after that. I can't remember it for the life of me, and I've scrolled down the list and I can't find it. What's it called? The Lost Legacy. I've tried playing through that, and I think it's the same thing with that game that it was with The Last of Us, where I just didn't have a connection with those characters, and I didn't have any skin in the game. I didn't care what happened to them. I was super invested in Drake and what happened to him, so yeah, the ending for that game kind of hits you like a ton of bricks, and it was hard for that one to end. I remember shedding a tear over it, so definitely makes the list. Never got into Bloodborne. I tried to play it, and I just kept dying and dying and dying. I'm not a hardcore gamer as far as like just grinding things out. Like whenever a game becomes frustrating and I have to go to the internet to figure out how to do something, that's when I lose interest in the game. Witcher 3, I played a lot of it. I don't know. It just didn't sink its teeth into me like it did for so many other people. And maybe it was the hype factor. going into it. Maybe it was because I knew how many hours I was going to have to sink into it in order to really understand what was going on in the story. It didn't connect with me. I think hand-to-hand combat like that without guns, there's just something about that just doesn't resonate with me as well as whenever you can put an M16 in my hand and I can pop a headshot from across the map. That's way more fun for me. Inside, that one is gonna make my list. The knock on Inside is it was so darn short, and I'm gonna separate these because I want those to be just like PS4 exclusives. Because it'll be interesting to see which system I gravitated more towards. Because generally I play more Xbox. If it's a multi-console game, I'll buy it on Xbox, but it'll be interesting to see how this list pans out. Diablo 3 was pretty fantastic. I feel like I played that really early in the console generation. I don't think it's going to make my top 5, but I think that's a game that's going to be unique on my list where there's not going to be any other game that's quite like it, so maybe it'll sneak in there. We'll see. Titanfall and Titanfall 2 are both going to make my list. I think that Titanfall 1, I have more fond memories of it just because it was so different at the time. Like, there's no doubt that Titanfall 2 is the better game, but they just didn't really invent as much like they had in Titanfall 1. Like, the first time that you got enough kills on the map to drop a Titan out of the sky and it drops down and it's just like, when you jump in this thing and the animations are beautiful and you just feel invincible until somebody blows you up. Like, the balancing in that game was miraculous. It really makes me want to go back and play some more Titanfall. Battlefield. Man, I played a lot of Battlefield during this console generation. I'm not a big multiplayer gamer, but Battlefield is my jam if I'm going to gravitate towards a multiplayer game. And I must have played Battlefield 4 300 plus hours, because if I remember correctly, let me look this up. October 29th, 2013 is when Battlefield 4 came out. Xbox One released November 22nd. So Battlefield 4 had been out for about a month. So that meant that was the first game that I played that was a proper next generation game. And I remember just the wow factor. Like, wow, like this is what next generation is going to be like. Hello, Happy Ronnie. I was so stoked on that. And I'd sunk so many hundreds of hours into Battlefield 4. Battlefield 1 was fine. Battlefield 5, I think, was another one. I played a lot of Battlefield Hardline. I thought that one was really great, kind of a different spin on it. But definitely for me, the best Battlefield game of that generation was Battlefield 4. So I'm just going to leave that Battlefield on my list, even though I played the hell out of 4, Hardline, 1, and 5. There's a lot of Battlefields this generation. That's awesome. Horizon Zero Dawn, it was fun. I played it. I don't think it's going to make my top 5. It's just not there. Minecraft. Man. When was the first time that I played Minecraft? I'm pretty sure that Minecraft on Xbox One was the first time that I played Minecraft. I'm going to throw it on the list. I've sunk 300-400 hours into Minecraft over the years. Played all on Xbox, but wow. Yeah, that game definitely makes my list. Where's Spider-Man at? Why isn't Spider-Man on this list? 78? Metacritic. What? How in God's name is Marvel's Spider-Man 78 on a list of 100 PS4 games? Really? Probably behind God of War and The Last of Us. I would put Spider-Man right there. So that one absolutely makes this list. I just can't believe that it's that far down on Metacritic. Doom. I've heard a lot of people say that they liked Doom 2016 better, and it was super original and fantastic and awesome in every single way. But Doom Eternal. Wow. I mean, That game is fresh on my mind. I just beat it maybe 2 weeks ago, and holy crap. That game brought the heat. It was fast-paced, it was frenetic, it was rock music just pulsing through your veins. It was just fun every time I picked up the controller to play it, until I got to some of the bosses. Now, I will admit, probably about halfway through the game, I had to dial the difficulty down to the easiest level, which I think was Hurt Me Plenty, maybe? Or I'm Too Young to Die? I can't remember. But still, the feeling that you get of just running through bad guys and just feeling like an absolute badass in doing it, you don't get that feeling in a ton of other video games, and it's just action, action, action. I love Doom Eternal. 2016 was awesome, but I think Eternal improves on every aspect of 2016 and takes it even further. So to me, it's the superior Doom game. Fallout 4, man, that one could definitely crack my top 5. Sunk a ton of hours into it. Fallout 3 was definitely, I didn't make a list for my top games of the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. Fallout 3 definitely would have been on that top 5 list. So Fallout 4, definitely in there. I played the campaign, I played all the DLCs. Yummy, 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 give me more, more, more. I could not get enough of that. Days Gone absolutely makes my list. It might crack the top 5. Again, I love zombies. I love post-apocalyptic worlds. I love looting. Days Gone had all of those things. Tremendous graphics. A huge open world. Fun things to do. Interesting combat. I played all of the side missions. I got rid of all of the gigantic hordes. This is the only PS4 game that I almost thought, I'm going to go for that platinum trophy. Because I'm not a grinder, like trophies are not a big motivator for me. But I just love that game so much, I didn't want to leave it. And, having those trophies, it just meant that there was a little bit more to work towards. And damn, I love that game. Alright, it's Xbox time. Come on, Xbox. I've played pretty much all of these. Destiny. Haven't talked about Destiny yet. Man, I don't know. Which one is better? It's got to be Destiny 2, right? With all the DLC. And the fact that it's just a continuing game. That first one, though, was... I'm going to say Destiny 1 is my favorite Destiny game. Because it started it all. It brought out the modern shooter-looter formula that all of these games are now chasing and trying to replicate and do themselves. So, Destiny, superior over Destiny 2, because it was an evolution in gaming. Both games are pretty fantastic, and I've sunk a ton of hours into both of them. Assassin's Creed, there were a ton of those this generation. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, definitely my favorite of the generation. What all ones were out during this generation? Assassins. So we had Brotherhood, it was fine. Valhalla's coming out soon. Rogue. 3. I think 3 came out on the 360. 2. That was a re-release. Black Flag. Ooh. Black Flag was amazing. Syndicate. Alright, so I'm going to change this, and I'm going to say instead of Odyssey, I'm going to go with Black Flag as my favorite Assassin's Creed game of the generation. Pirates, man! Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum and all of that nonsense. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, #1 Assassin's Creed game in my book. Odyssey, fantastic, but really it just improved upon a little bit of what Black Flag did, while Black Flag kind of revolutionized a lot of things. You know, the ship combat, the super gigantic open world. The combat was very refined in that particular instance of Assassin's Creed. So to me, that's the winner. Dying Light. Yeah, buddy. I love that game. My gosh, is the sequel ever going to come out? Ever? I saw today they announced like the uber complete definitive whatever edition for Dying Light original, and it's like, you've already done this. Like, quit repackaging this game. Whoever you've got spending time putting all this stuff together, and put out Dying Light 2. Please? But again, vast open world, amazing combat, zombies, looting. It checks all of the Ronnie boxes. So, Dying Light, awesome game. I don't think any of the Call of Duties are going to make the list for me. The single-player campaigns kind of took a backseat this generation. And I think in at least one of them, they didn't even have a single-player campaign. They just focused more on multiplayer. Warzone is a heck of a lot of fun, but it's definitely not going to make my list of favorite games of the generation. Halo the Master Chief Collection. I think that's got to make the list. I don't think that it's going to make my top 5 because it's just, it seems cheaty a little bit. It's not just one game. It's, I think, four or five different Halo games now at this point with the inclusion of Reach. And it just doesn't seem like it fits in with the rest of the games on the list. With that being said, I've played every Halo game at least once, maybe multiple times, completed them. I've sunk a ton of hours into the multiplayer, so I definitely got my money's worth out of Halo Master Chief Collection. But making the top 5, I don't think it's going to make it. No. Gears 5 was freaking awesome. Gears 5 definitely makes the list. Beautiful game. My goodness, it was beautiful. Halo 5, no. Halo Wars. It's not going to make the top 5. It was a really cool game. I enjoy RTSs. You know, I started with Command & Conquer way back in the day. Love Age of Empires, Company of Heroes, all of those kinds of things. But I don't even think I'm going to bother writing it down because it just doesn't make the list. Ori 1 and 2. Man, those games are so beautiful. And, like, I love Super Metroid. Super Metroid's one of my all-time favorite games. But Ori was supposed to be that, and it just to me it wasn't. It lacked a little bit of story-driven care for the protagonist. Like, I didn't care about Ori. Controversial statement? I don't know. But the thing that really hacked me off about Ori was it was one of those games, big open map, and I would have to pause my game and look up online where to go because I just couldn't figure it out. Maybe that's a shortcoming on my part. I'm just not very smart. But if you've got this wide open map, I'm the kind of gamer now where I've been conditioned for you to tell me where I need to go if I'm stuck. Like, if I'm trapped and I haven't made any progress in your game for like 5 minutes, just give me a little arrow and be like, hey, go here. And then I'm like, thank you. Now I know where to go and I can continue on with the game and I don't have to pause it, bring myself out of the experience, go to the internet, look up where I need to go, and then proceed on. Like, that was frustrating to me, and I got maybe 25% of the way through each one of those and quit. And that's going to be a theme that we're going to cover here on Switch games here in a little bit, because I've purchased probably 20 or 30 Switch games, and I've completed maybe 3 of them. Alright, State of Decay 2. That right there is a heavyweight, and I'm putting both of them on here. State of Decay 2, definitely the superior of the two titles. It improved upon everything that State of Decay 1 brought to the table, and then some. Not to mention, it launched in Game Pass, I believe. Is that true? Yeah. So, State of Decay 2 launched into Game Pass. The number of hours that I've spent on that game and the amount of money that I've spent on it has to be like the greatest ratio of all time. Like, yes, I understand that I'm paying $15 a month or whatever it is for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And I understand that the games that I play are not free. But for $15 a month and the amount of hours that I've sunk into just State of Decay 2, I'm good for subscribing to Game Pass forever, basically. Like, I actually looked for ways to give the developers State of Decay 2 money because I love that game so much. So I bought all of the DLC, basically every way that I could support them, I did because I loved it so much. Again, open world, zombies, looting, shooting. It checks all 4 of the Ronnie metric boxes for a winning video game formula. That one's one of my favorites. It's going to be in the top 5. There's no doubt in my mind. So, man, is that really it for exclusives that I played and that I liked? That's just crazy to me for somebody that gravitates more towards the Xbox platform and the number of exclusives, which I'll go ahead and take that one off of there because I didn't do that for anything else. 3 exclusives. One of them was just a conglomeration of games from the past generation. So really 2 games versus 1. We won't really count Last of Us because it was from last generation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't quite add up. Hopefully with the number of studios that they've purchased, the Bethesda acquisition, I think they own over 20 studios now. So obviously year 1 is going to be pretty dry, but maybe moving into year 2, 3, and onward this console generation, hopefully Xbox brings more single player exclusives that I want to play. So I guess that's it for Xbox exclusives. That is very eye-opening for me to see. The majority of the games that I loved were multi-platform, so that's good. I can play them wherever. But obviously, that many PS4 exclusives that I absolutely adored, loved, that speaks volumes. That means Ronnie needs to get his hands on a PS5 ASAP. Alright, let's move into Switch games. I don't think that there's going to be too many of those. I know of one, Breath of the Wild. And yep, it's first on Metacritic's list. That was... It's going to make my top 5. There's no doubt about it. It's the best Zelda game I've ever played in my life. And that's saying something because previous to playing that, my favorite video game of all time was The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. So this game dethroned that one. And it was just amazing. The art style is not something that I would normally be into, but it was different and it made it beautiful. It ran wonderfully on the Switch. You know, it's so awesome with the Switch because that was the first game that I played on the Switch. And so that was magical to be able to just pick up this console, start playing that game anywhere I'm at in my house. And then, you know, maybe my kid goes to bed and I can go and game in the living room. Throw the Switch onto the dock, and then boom, I'm playing on the big screen with the Pro Controller. That was a transformative experience in gaming for me. It truly was. And Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Unfortunately, games on the Switch have peaked right at the beginning of that generation because it has not been that good and probably never will be. It's quite possible that nothing is ever going to match that again. And that's crazy that that's been 3 years come this March. No, 4 years. 4 years come this March. Wow. Wow. All right, Super Mario Odyssey. That's got to make the list. Talk about a good Mario game. Super fun. You know, harken back to what was my favorite Mario game of all time, Mario 64, with the kind of open world where you can kind of bounce around and go to different environments and try and earn those... whatever the currency was in there, I can't even remember now. It was like stars? Moons? I think it was moons. Yeah, power moons. That's what it was. Where you could go in there and earn power moons and, you know, really play it for a really short amount of time or sit down and just get sucked into the world and drop tons of time into it. I need to go back to that one and try and find more moons. From there, I think it's going to be a slugfest to find anything else because nothing really, in my mind, pops out. So, of the games on this list, the ones that I own, Smash Bros, not really into it. Mario Kart, it's fine. It's Mario Kart. Animal Crossing, I did play probably 50 hours of Animal Crossing, and that was a really, really fun Switch game. It's not going to make my top 5. But that's the first Animal Crossing that I put any amount of time into. And so for that, I think that it does deserve a spot on the general list. I own Super Mario Maker 2. I played through the campaign. I didn't get into any course building. So that one to me doesn't make the list. Tried to get into Stardew Valley. Didn't really sink its teeth into me. No zombies. You know, maybe that's the reason. Link's Awakening. I did beat that one. It was a bit of a slog. I remember having to go to the internet a couple of times and try and get some pointers on where I needed to go. So for that, it lost some points in my mind, but it was a very beautiful game, and that's the first time that I'd ever played Link's Awakening. So I'll throw it on the list. It was pretty great. Luigi's Mansion 3, bought it, played through about 50% of it and got frustrated with not being able to figure out where to go, so that one doesn't make the list. Ooh, Mario and Rabbids. Man, that is a favorite right there. I would say that one falls beneath Breath of the Wild, beneath Super Mario Odyssey, but then right after that was Mario and Rabbids. Such a fun game, you know, it's like XCOM, top-down strategy game, but with Mario characters, and they could have totally phoned this in and just thrown the Mario logo on it and the characters in the game, and I'm sure it would have been fine. But they developed a game that made sense, that played beautifully. The DLC for it was awesome. You got to go into Donkey Kong's world. I played the entire game, the entire DLC, played all of it, loved every minute of it. All right, I got to go look at my game collection and make sure I'm not leaving anything off of this list. I'll be right back. All right, upon inspection of my game collection, I discovered 2 more titles that need to be added to the list. First is The Division 2. Played the hell out of the Division 1, played the hell out of the Division 2, all of the DLC across both of those games. The Division 2 just improved upon the Division 1, so that's why it makes the list for me. Open world game, huge map. Story wasn't all that great, but the ambiance and the gunplay was just spot on point on that game, so I really, really love that game. And then, lo and behold, there's another PS4 exclusive, and that would be Beat Saber. I love me some Beat Saber. I bought all of the DLC, I think. I was using it as an exercise program eventually at one point. Because it's a really good workout. And that game is a lot different from a lot of the games on this list. So it's going to be hard to cross that one off of here. It's also one that I got my dad to play, which I can't say that for any other game on this list. He's not a gamer. But he was interested in what the heck I was doing with that VR goggle thing on my head, and he tried it out and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. It's not converted him into a gamer by any means of the word, but he had a heck of a good time doing that, and that's the Beat Saber is the only game that I can say about on my list. All right, that's it. We've got the list narrowed down. We're gonna start combing through this bad boy and see which ones we can take off of the list. Spider-Man stays in the first round. Last of Us Remastered. It's got to stay. I played it on PS4 first. I know it was a PS3 game, but I didn't play it until it was a PS4 game. God of War stays. Last of Us Part 2 is going to go. It's not as good as Last of Us Part 1. Uncharted 4, great game. It's not going to make the list. Days Gone stays. Beat Saber stays. Inside gone, too short. Diablo 3 gone. Titanfall, we'll leave Titanfall on the list for now. Battlefield 4 stays. Minecraft stays. Oh, Doom Eternal, I guess it can stay. Fallout 4, Destiny can go, that's an easy one. Black Flag, great game, but probably not in my top 5. Dying Light stays. Division 2, bye-bye. Master Chief Collection gone. Gears of 5 gone. State of Decay 2 stays. Switch. Breath of the Wild, absolutely. Mario Odyssey, I'll leave it on there. I don't think it's going to make the top 5 cut, but I'll leave it on there. Animal Crossing, Link's Awakening, Mario Rabbids, all those are going. Okay. So now we're down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Maybe I could just grab a few that I know are going to go up there. That I absolutely know are going to go up there. Days Gone, State of Decay 2, Breath of the Wild. Oh boy. That means I've got 2 more slots left. And that's, yeah, well, I mean, at least one of the Xbox exclusive made the list. It's crazy that it's State of Decay 2. I mean, it's not a AAA title, I don't think. I mean, now that it's owned by Microsoft, I don't know, it's hard to say. Alright, so that's what I've got to work with. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games that I've got to narrow down to 2. Ah, man. Spider-Man or God of War, I feel like is going to be one of them. It might be both of them. Although, but The Last of Us, though. Oh my gosh. And all of these games are PS4 exclusives. That's incredible. Titanfall, Battlefield 4, love you, but you gotta go. Doom Eternal, love you, but you don't measure up to those. Fallout 4 doesn't measure up. Neither does Dying Light, honestly. Minecraft. Minecraft is a game that I can play forever. I've got a 4-year-old son right now. I foresee so much fun that we're gonna have just building stuff in Minecraft. So it's hard for me to take that one out. It might be my favorite game next generation. I don't know. It just depends on what B wants to play. But man, these are some heavy hitters right here. I think I'll take out Beat Saber. Making an executive decision. God of War. I hope they do some up-resing of that on PS5 because I would love to play that again. I'd love to have an excuse to play it again. Nope. Odyssey doesn't measure up. Spider-Man, Last of Us Remastered, and Minecraft. Man. If we're just thinking about sheer number of hours played, Minecraft destroys the other two. But if we're thinking about hours of quality engagement, stories that stick with you, that keep you thinking. Honestly, in thinking about that, I feel like that kind of eliminates Spider-Man because it was a lot of fun and it was a super polished game, but what do I remember from that story other than it was freaking awesome to be Spider-Man and traverse all around that city? So Spider-Man's gotta go. Minecraft or The Last of Us? Phew. I remember getting done playing The Last of Us and just feeling broken. It was such a gut punch the way that game ended. But man, it was a good ending. I really love stories that are not afraid to take a dark turn. I have a really hard time getting behind a lot of Disney movies because that's not how the world works. The good guy doesn't always win. And The Last of Us was not afraid to take that route. That feels right. That's my top 5 games of the generation. Minecraft is right there. I mean, it's something I'm going to play forever, probably. Definitely can't wait to play that with B. All right, so there's my top 5. I can't wait for, 10 years from now or whenever the next console generation comes about, when I can look back on this video, see my list, see how well these games have held up, and then to see if there are any games from this generation maybe that make the list for next generation. Maybe they're never going to make a new Minecraft, and I can just include it on next generation's list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every single one of those games is a console exclusive. That's pretty interesting. And 1, 2, 3 of them are PlayStation 4 exclusive. 1 is Xbox, 1 is Switch. So all console exclusives are my favorite games of the generation. I don't know what else I can say now, but here's to the next generation. Looking forward to it.